Hello, everyone. I am using it's charging. My microphone is charging. I still haven't seen at all. I got so Donna also mentioned this on her podcast. It's exhausting. We're all exhausted from this. And I have some things that I didn't get to cover last night, just a few things. I'm hoping this won't last more than an hour. But feel free to come and go, leave it on as you're like preparing dinner or lunch or wherever you're at or whatever. But there's some interesting things on today's list. The intimacy coordinator, I pulled up, there were three intimacy coordinators mentioned for It Ends With Us under IMDb. And one of them, I mean, they all worked on huge movies. Because I wonder if there's many intimacy coordinators. Like, are there? I feel like because this is relatively new, it's not that many. Anyways, so there's that. There's the Melanie King. She revealed a secret recording. Wow, there's three parts of that recording that are just mind-boggling for me. Um, one second. Um, my dog is running all over the house upstairs. So if you hear little, is it Peter patter of dog feet? Um, Anyways, so there's the intimacy coordinator story, the Melanie King secret recording, and an interesting Ryan theory, side theory that my friend sent me, this TikTokers, and all the links will be provided below at the end of this live to all of these resources, everything that I got from either the original source or the um, like the source that I found it at because I couldn't find the original source, or I felt like that person because I got a lot from that person. I mentioned them. TMZ versus New York Times. That's like something that, to be honest, is interesting. And it's an interesting one, especially as we're starting to talk about all these dates and the metadata and all that stuff and what do they mean. Anyways, and then are we minimizing Blake? Are we minimizing and dismissing women through this whole like theory of, oh, she just had a crush? Not just, but you know what I mean. She had a crush on him, and that's why she's doing all of this. And Ryan's taking over, but also with that TikTokers theory that I mentioned, like if that's true, I mean, it's just all messy. And then there's Blake herself crediting Shane Reed, the editor for Taylor Swift's music video that was mentioned. Some I don't who remembers where that was mentioned recently that she used them. Oh, in the Reddit thread, right? She used them, but it didn't work, so she hired some other editor or something. But he's not, because he's probably too serious to be like, yeah, I really need that credit that I didn't work on that movie, or maybe that I tried, one edit or whatever, and it didn't work out. He's huge. So he also looks like Sean from 90 Day Fiance, the Irish Sean. That is like, I don't find many celebrity, and I guess he's a celebrity. Many men like incredibly good looking, but that guy, Sean from 90 Day Fiance, the Irish Sean, because I think there are other Seans with the tattoos. Oh my gosh. But yeah, Shane Reed reminded me of him. But anyways, so yeah, and some other things like Ryan Reynolds staging of his fans. I mean, they all do that, whatever, but like, why now? You have plenty of eyes on you. And also, let me take this moment. If we could have the little dots, three dots on YouTube telling like, I don't want to see this ad again, I would use that on Mint Mobile. I don't know if it's just Mint Mobile commercials or all commercials. Suddenly you can't do that. I do not want to see a Mint Mobile commercial because who's making money during this time? He is. They are. I don't see any Justin Baldoni commercial for anything. He's not making money like directly, especially from people from fans. And it seems like it's just like blowing up probably because that advertisers or whatever, however that system works, is like, "Ooh, this is the time to post this." People are talking about him. Um, but I wonder how many people are like signing up or not signing up based on this. So, anyways, well, let's get right into this. So, this is kind of like the main topics I mentioned and some little tiny ones in between. But yeah, uh, I'll start with two things. One is this is getting so in the weeds. This is getting so, and we haven't even seen the ground yet. We've not even seen all the weeds and all the grass. Have we even seen the grass? Yeah, we've seen some grass and then we've seen some weeds. It's just so much. So much. Not just with theories and not just with like pulling, but I guess I feel this way especially from pulling, all the different tidbits, everyone's inside sources or whatever, but also from like the past. And is Blake's are Blake supporters doing the same investigation that, Justin supporters are regarding Blake? I want to see their investigative, results. Where are the receipts? Because I mean, right now, Justin and his team and Brian Friedman don't even need to do all that much. They released one voice note and one video and the lawsuit, and that's it. And we've like uncovered so much, not just from her past, but even like from this thing. Like people are just like, it's a huge network. Where is that for Justin? There is one guy that Donna mentioned on her video this morning, on her live this morning, that this is, excuse me, where this whole TMZ NYT thing came up from, that I guess is doing that. I need to look into that, but oh my gosh, there's not enough time. Hi everyone. Yeah, I've been so busy, so many updates and seeing many lives. Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's quieter though than in the past few days this week today. Maybe because it's Friday. Um, yeah, yeah, smart TV Mint Mobile. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, since Christmas, it's not anything necessarily new, but it's been just like, I don't wanna see this guy right now. Like, I don't wanna see any 3 of them, honestly, right now. They shouldn't be seen right now. They should just lay low, have their lawsuit, have their court dates. So, the first court date hearing Monday, it's at 11 a.m., and I think Dave was mentioning this, or Andy. I think Andy was reading it. I guess it's like you could go to the New York courthouse. Um, so anyone in New York, but yeah, that's 11 a.m. Monday. If you think right now, today, there's so many lives, or this week, 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. on Monday, or noon, or 1, or whenever. Yeah, we're all going to be saying something. I do like ingesting everything. This is my personality too, like ingesting a lot of stuff and then having kind of my own perception or digestion of all the information. I feel like that's where I fit into this. I sometimes I'm like, "Ooh, I have a breaking news point," but yeah, and also I'm leaving that honestly to the professionals that have so many contacts and so many, you know, direct relations to all of this. So, um, excuse me. And also a little housekeeping thing. Sorry for like my videos being all over the place time wise. I'm figuring out like schedule. I didn't ever think that I would do lives. I thought that was way above my skills and that no one would even come to these because I tried just one in the past, and I'm figuring it out. But yeah, okay. So Um, did you take the Monday off just for this? I wonder if people actually, I also, do we know, is it going to be televised at all? Probably not, right? It's just a hearing, or I don't know. What do you think? Because yeah. Is that falling under the court, the trial part of like it's not going to be televised because it's in the Southern District of New York thing? And I still have to figure out that one too. But yeah, why is the trial date so far? So got this question last night. To be honest, I just did a ChatGPT inquiry, and I don't use ChatGPT that much because I was hacked a while ago, not so long ago, and I never get hacked on anything. So I'm like, do I want to go there? But it was the easiest way to get at least some ideas, and it made sense. The backlog and scheduling conflicts of not just like of everyone involved, right? And when you're dealing with celebrities, although, can we say right now they're working? Probably not. I feel like they would probably want this to go as fast as possible because they probably can't work because no one wants to work with them. Everyone's like just waiting to see how this goes, like distributions, houses, and production houses, and just everyone. It's like, so that's probably not a thing. The discovery process that could take a while, already because of the LA house fires. Yeah, LA fires, Brian Friedman's house and office. I'm not sure if those were one and the same, but I don't think so, right? But I also think like, wow, if his office got also like burned in that, you know, were there like all the files, not for this case per se, but like in general. But I think now every day everything's digital. I hope, like, for someone that big, I would think so. But they didn't, they motioned to get some postponement and to get a little bit of leeway, a little bit of time to build a case or to whatever. And 2 weeks, I think they're asking, and Blake Lively's team said no. So there is all of this stuff, pre-trial motions. There's been the the protection order. There's been this request for dismissal. It can be like evidence suppression. I don't know what ChatGPT meant by that one, but yeah, the we had like three protection orders, but those will be covered Monday. That's, I think, why the main reason why. And then the dismissal. So that's another thing, the complexity of there are multiple parties. Blake did mention that there are other people involved, other women that were affected in this way. And so, I think that goes into discovery too, and figuring out if it's going to be, and also just the lawsuits themselves have multiple parties inside, them too. Could it be strategic? Teams can ask for more time, to build a stronger case or negotiate settlements. I kind of feel like if this goes into the summer without any protection orders being approved, without dismissals being approved, without any effort not being approved, and so it just keeps on going. And if Brian Friedman releases that website, or just even a few more pieces of um, proof, evidence, however you want to call it, um, I have a feeling that in like 6 months of this, if it stays as it's been, because they're already so panicked, Blake Lively's team will try to settle. Now, will Justin's team approve? I also have a theory that if they move to settle, if Blake Lively's team moves to settle, I don't know, I have a feeling that Justin might go along with that, because if he's not guilty, and if he's not, um from the beginning, not, didn't release any of this before she did, and he's just on the defense, I feel like he might stick true to his value of like he didn't want to hurt her, he didn't want to do anything. So that's what makes me think he might accept the settlement. If he's not guilty though, and if what he's claiming is true, and more that we've been finding out online from everyone, then he should not settle. Because, and this, Donna also, she had this moment that I had last night, actually, of like, whoa, like this is heavy, because we're all trying to like cover what's happening and have ideas and opinions and all that stuff and conversations. But then when you sit back and you really let this sink in for what it kind of is to these human beings and what we're seeing and what we're hearing from even Blake's own words in interviews around this movie, it does feel like this is just such an unfair thing that's happening to this one guy. And it's so much bigger than any of the conversations around smear campaigns and all that stuff. Even though, you know, uh, I don't know, it gets messy, but like it's just like heavy and it's messy, but it's heavy. Um, so yeah. Anyways, but those are kind of the potential reasons why it's so far out. Oh gosh, it's going to be so interesting. I want to know if no cameras are allowed, will the court document papers be public? I feel okay. Someone that knows maybe can help. Are the document papers that we've all been reading online, are they public or are they like released or like found? Because I've not really understood how people find these documents. I think I found his lawsuit myself, but that was released through some Fox News or something website. So if there's no link in articles or, you know, whatever back end way to find links to these articles, are they technically public? So I was also wondering that in with another document that I want to link below. I'm like, wait, should I link this? Because this feels like I don't know. But I did find it on a forum thread of some sort. So I don't know. Anyways, but that's a good question. Yeah, Johnny Depp's were public, but that everyone says that that's so different and it was in a different court system and that's why this is so private. And that's why they file this way. I don't know. It's just so messy. Like, I don't know. Maybe I should go into the TMZ NYT thing first. Although the intimacy coordinator one is like really quick. The other thing too, a Business Insider, and I'll link it below, has well, now it's asking me for a what do you call it, subscription. And I noticed that New York Times also since yesterday or since today is asking for a subscription. But let me screenshot these graphics and at least I'll include them maybe in the next video or something. I'll make a video. But it's interesting to see how the sentiments, the social media sentiment, how it was for both of them before the initial complaint, the CRD complaint, after the complaint, and before Justin's lawsuit for the New York Times, and then after. And this was published on January 10th. So we don't know right now how it looks like. And I was trying to find those numbers because I was trying to find like if there's a way to see how many people are talking positively about Justin and positively about Blake and excuse me, all that stuff. But definitely both of them are basically right now at around 6, 7, 8% positive. Or at least like on the 10th. And then they were just largely neutral or negative. Whereas before, I don't know, it was pretty balanced. I don't know. But also, this was after the whole premiere, too. So it would be interesting to see before this. And I went into a search for this just because someone mentioned, I think, I forget where, that oh yeah, so right, segue into the TMZ and NYT. So the TMZ article that the one guy mentioned that Donna showed on her live, um that one has a video, and I couldn't try. There's anyone with the metadata skills, maybe you can find it, but I couldn't find an easy date for the video because I'm curious for the video when that was made. Because in the video, there's whatever his name is, the main TMZ face guy, and then there's a woman with him. And she says in that video, um, Blake Lively has been pretty beloved, and all of a sudden there was this hate train. As you read through this complaint, it was clear, oh, a lot of this was generated, and all it took, it seems, it was some money to do it. I was like, what? Some money? Like, she has more money. Well, maybe not. I don't know. He's backed by some pretty, big money. And also, side note to this, he has a lot of famous friends that, do you hear him talk about them? You don't hear about them. I was watching the Wayfair YouTube, the conversation with all the men. Why this is where I'm failing. I still don't remember the name for that series that he had, but um the first episode had Scooter Braun. So is that also why Taylor Swift is like, ew, no, Blake, take over this movie. We don't like him. Because that was before, I believe it was before this movie, or around the movie. So, but yeah, anyways, back to the TMZ thing. This article, oh, yes. Sorry. To this, like, Blake Lively was pretty has been pretty beloved. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on today. Um, was she? Because the backlash was stronger because of, whatever. Well, no, sorry. Really because of Jersey Flaw's interview. I feel like that was the biggest like spike. We probably, if we would see a graph, like that was a big spike. And I feel rightly so, even though, okay, but, and also because it's rightly so because other interviews came out right after that pretty fast, and so you could see the pattern. It wasn't just one time this one celebrity was, like, really mean, and because she didn't take accountability or apologize or in any way reach out, because she's above it all. I mean, let's be honest, this is I feel very strongly this is probably her sentiment, just like she's above, the law as far as wanting to choose who deposes her. Um, and she will pull everything to have Brian Friedman not depose her, like conflict of interest or whatever, because she's well, with the protection order is like directly towards him. So like all these things, but I was joking, like, is she going to sue him too? After, like, if he ends up deposing her, will she also claim that, you know, he was inappropriate in some way or like had some sort of defamation or whatever, I don't even know how what she could pull out. Um but yeah, I don't think she was that loved. And before all of this, there were plenty of places where you could see people that didn't like her. And so I didn't like this, and this whole video seemed so propaganda-ish. Like, it didn't seem real. It didn't seem real. I think Harvey is the guy's name. He seems he's used to whatever, He's he's just doing TMZ stuff. They're in their own world. But the woman I feel like is maybe newer to it relatively, and so cuz she was also younger, so she probably is just not used to, saying rehearsed things in a more organic way, but either way, it was just I so my argument is if this TMZ article came out, and it did come out before the New York Times article, interesting. But if this came out and it did have Brian Friedman, Baldoni's lawyer, Friedman lashed out at the lawsuit, saying it was designed to fix her negative reputation, adding the claims are false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious with an intent to publicly hurt her. And it had another little tidbit. Okay. Isn't that damage control though? Also, because they didn't include a link to the complaint, they didn't include anything to the complaint, any screenshots. It was edited. So again, I hate that. Like, is there a way to see back in time? But what we have right now is not showing anything like that. That it was a pro Justin, get ready, to attack Blake or don't believe her or whatever. It was like Brian Friedman saying, "Hey," because I can imagine he got the thing, and also we don't have in the NYT lawsuit. It is stated, but we don't have a screenshot of the email and the correspondence, as far as I could see when I went back, of when New York Times contacted them and when Friedman or whoever, that lawyer side, contacted New York Times back. But it is said to be around 2:16 a.m. on, you know, that that morning of the 21st. And the TMZ article was published at 7:54 a.m. These are Eastern time, because in the lawsuit it's Eastern time. You can see on TMZ's website it's 4:54 a.m. Pacific time, and the New York Times article was published at 10:11 a.m. Because I wonder if this is my perception of this whole thing. New York Times. So Blake sent the claim and whatever with the New York Times. New York Times said, "Hey, Justin team, respond." They are like, "Oh crap, we don't have a response besides we're not guilty and blah blah blah." And then they went to TMZ saying, "Hey, this is, what we're saying." And TMZ is probably like, "Okay, we'll take both," like just where they are kind of neutral in that way that they're not going to like really discriminate, but they when they say things, they will attack the other side, which is why I don't really watch it. It's like whoever's like on the news then, whoever they want to be on the side of that day. So yeah, and then New York Times, I wonder if because they saw that article, they're like, "Oh crap, we need to hurry up," because they're saying that they were supposed to post it at 12 p.m. that day and they posted it at 10 a.m. that day. So maybe that's why. No one's talked about that in any of the lawsuits and everything. Like either Blake's side, neither Blake's side did also. But yeah, but I wonder when that video was. And I wonder what was edited because as we have it now, this TMZ article is really corroborating or saying pretty much the same thing as the New York Times article, and it's so pro Blake, especially that video is just doubling down. So I want to see, is that because that was the update to it, or was that their initial stance on it? So Um, so yeah, so I'll link all these below once I'm done. And yeah, and if you have any, if you see anything as far as statistics, of how many people are on each side right now or through the time, that'd be awesome. Okay, so this is a tiny little story. The intimacy coordinator. It's a big story just because Ryan Reynolds keeps mentioning it to Sandra Bullock's birthday message to there's another one. Crap, I forget. And so it's something and then also a nice pool. It's like something just he's so fixated on. And it almost sounds honestly, it sounds both the Sandra Bullock happy birthday message and the nice pool mentioning intimacy coordinators, right? Or whatever. There were two or three things where he mentions this. It sounds like he doesn't like intimacy coordinators. That's how I'm getting it because it's sarcastic. And maybe that's just why people are reading it as a dig to Justin. Okay, I think that's true. But I take it as he doesn't like intimacy coordinators, especially if you don't know all of this stuff. It sounds like someone has an issue and he wishes that intimacy coordinators weren't a thing. Um, but yeah, anyway, so in What video is this that I have? Oh, entertainment interview that, Donna featured on her live. I will link that direct interview. And you can also just watch Donna's she has awesome takes on this and, just the way that she presents things is awesome. If you haven't, I just kind of assume that many people who watch me have already seen that. And in this interview, it's Isabella Ferrer talking about the intimacy scenes and how that was for her. Also, the interviewer asks if that was her first time doing any kind of intimacy, and she's like, "Kind pretty much," but she did a lot of, like, theater intimacy and worked with theater intimacy coordinators, during school, during her acting school. And, the I wanna mention some dates to this. So on page 93 of the lawsuit, of Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. He posts screenshots of Isabella's text message to him. So, my understanding from that lawsuit, and it's a while ago, so maybe I'm wrong, but my understanding is the timeline being that she finished her scenes before the strike went on that summer of 2023. Her last text message was May 4th, 2023. Do I have that pulled up here? Let's see. Um, yeah, okay. So on page 93, sorry, just give me one tiny second. I want to read because I think the reason that I'm understanding it this way, found it, is because she said like she was wrapped. Um, Okay, yeah. So her message on, sorry, July 11th, 2023 is, "Hey, just got my film developed, blah, blah, blah. Here's a sweet pic of us," or whatever. "I also have to say thank you so, so much for an incredible experience on my first film. I still can't shake the feeling of it all because it truly was life-changing for me. You are such a wonderful, smart, and sincere director, and you created such a comfortable, safe space for me to feel like I could fully step into this role. I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. It will stay with me for the rest of my life. Sadly, in some very negative ways now. See you soon, whether in the fall or later, and hope you're doing well." So this is and then so she this was, I think, right, the strike already happened, but she developed and she wanted to say, thank you. But I think they wrapped, and I remember at least Justin's boss had saying that all the intimacy stuff, all this stuff that was happening with the younger cast, that Blake had in her list, bullet point list or whatever, like he's like, well, it's not even applicable, sure, because we already did that. Like it's already done. Anyways, in this video, because that happened after the strike ended in December of 2023. And in this video, in this interview, she talks about how they had like an awesome intimacy coordinator. Her name is Lizzie. And excuse me. And I went to, all the three different intimacy coordinators, IMDb. Lizzie was on Bridgerton. And if you've seen Bridgerton, that's a heavy, heavy intimacy coordinator job. She also talks in the interview where about how it was so much rehearsed, and they didn't even need to do anything beyond like it wasn't anything too much, that they did. It was pretty PG, but I think, or she was referring to the cut. I don't know, but either way, she's like, "Yeah, this intimacy coordinator, she was always checking in on us, like how we're feeling about it, blah, blah. And if we had, if we're drinking enough water, because it can be intense, because they last so long, because of all the things that it's all choreography." And again, watch Donna's or watch the straight, interview, and I'll link both below. And so she was, I mean, everything seemed normal on her side. you could say, well, maybe it was different for Blake. Maybe he didn't have the intimacy coordinator that much for Blake. Maybe Blake didn't want it. Maybe he didn't want it. Okay, cool. That can be a different story. We don't know about that yet. But we have in Blake's complaint, in her bullet point list, talking about how he needs to have this for the safety of these actors, and she talks so much about the safety of these young actors, and her, the young woman, who is I think 24 at that time, or 21 at the time. um but yeah, she's still very young. I mean, in my 20s I was pretty much a teenager. I had a later grow up stage, but okay, cool. But Isabella confirmed that they had intimacy coordinators. It was super safe on her end, and et cetera, et cetera. And again, I personally, I mean, there's probably harder, movies out there, but watching Bridgerton last year, I feel like there's no better intimacy coordinator than someone on that show, because they have a lot to do on that show. Um, so yeah. The other thing too is Blake's I don't think she tried to really control that side. I think it was, again, like, way after the fact, and she just wanted to make it seem like it wasn't just her, and she had credibility. And um it's not even that, but like, again, make it seem more vital than it was, or I don't even know how to say that. I don't know how to say it. By mentioning, like, look, there's other women, or like, it's like it's that dog whistling thing. It's just, it's not apparent because she of the way that she's phrasing it. Anyways, but having said that too, it feels controlling of these other people by saying, "Oh, she's," and this is something that I want to talk about her and everyone's theory with Ryan Reynolds and the crush. It's like diminishing a woman's authority of her own body and self and mind and emotions of herself, and of her own authority and her own power. And if Blake is empowering women, shouldn't she do that? Because yes, this was a younger actress by around 10 years or more than her. It was her first big movie, her first, big acting role in a movie. But she went to film school. She is very, very good at what she does. Like, you can she was I think she was pretty good in the movie, but we have to see more of her, of course, to say anything too much around that. But the way that she talks about the preparation that she did for this movie is like, she is like a really good actor. She's taking it very seriously. That's what I mean by she's a really good actor. Like, she's really involved in acting, and so she's aware and she understands so much of what needs to happen. Of course, she might not understand, like, so many of us don't know our full rights as far as legal rights for things that we probably won't have to deal with, right? But I would imagine, because someone also said, was it on Dana's or somewhere, that uh, yeah, Donna, and I'm Romanian, and I'm supposed to, because that's how we say Donna. And she said that they had to go through so much training beforehand. I know in England for sure, they take training, like safety training, so seriously. We did in, like, the film school that I went to. We did, I think, 2 or 3 months of safety training, like, education. Oh, like, just everything that we may not even need to know depending on our area. Um, and I don't know, but I would assume Hollywood in the US probably does the same. And she said that they had to, and that was, she's not a casting director anymore, and she's not doing that anymore. And so this wasn't even like, this was before this movie. And I'm sure that this movie also had that. We know that there's no nudity writer signed, or we don't know that, sorry, that is alleged through Justin's lawsuit, that there was none signed by Blake, but it was provided to her. The intimacy coordinator, to be fair, we don't have any proof what one way or another of when Blake actually met with her. We only see that she refused to meet before the movie, saying that she'll meet with her during the movie. There's three of them that I see in the credits also. So I don't know which one. Maybe they had individual ones probably. And but we don't know right now, if she met or didn't meet. And I don't like when people are saying, "Oh, she refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator." Yes, one time, but to be fair, we don't know if she met once the movie started or right before or something. Um, if what Blake's is claiming to be true, it affects you and stays with you. Yeah, yeah, it does. Um, she acts like nothing happened. Yeah, and but that can also be someone's mechanism, someone's, defense mechanism. Again, I'm gonna be fair when I know to say something, if that makes sense. So yeah, we don't know. But to my point yesterday and to Donna's point, I think yesterday, like with someone that this happened to and is affected by it, even let's not say maybe, to this point this year, maybe she worked through it, let's or she's like dealing with it differently. But I want to know, and maybe this is something to ask a specialist, maybe like no more.org knows this. Would someone take use this to take control of something, of that person's projects or whatever? That's what feels really odd and inauthentic. And um yeah, I'm so sorry, Arnaldo. Um I'm sorry. Yeah, so we also see, this is like a segue. Bryn from Real Housewives of New York, she talks about a moment like this, and she was on the live, and we don't know what's going on with her. She's an interesting character to understand. I don't know, because yeah, but we can see her be still so emotional just at the mere mention of this. Like she becomes so emotional, and she is also kind of like Blake in the time in the way that she just kind of laughs it off, or like the next morning, it's like, oh, it's okay, everything's fine, and how are you doing, and all that stuff. And she admits herself that that's how she deals with it, just like close off, carry on, because otherwise she couldn't carry on. And so you have that, but yeah, it still affects you. It does still affect you. You still have some sort of emotion. And Blake's actions kind of show just action in a very different way, not about this. And what bothered me again, and still bothers me, is like, what about these women that she's supposedly caring for to not experience this, whether the retaliation or the SH itself, or in the cast and crew that she claims that also experienced this from them. um like, what measures did she actually take besides having this guy, or Justin and Jamie, both these guys, sign that they won't do these things, that also were all about Blake Lively? I think with the exception of one or two, but most of those were like, you're not going to talk to Blake Lively without her team present, or whatever, like things like that. What about, Isabella, but she wasn't, apparently she wasn't, going forward there. But what about all these other cast members and crew members? Like, do they get, like, you will not be alone with them either? I didn't see that. So what action did she actually take for these other women that had less power and, could actually have that experience because they are, lesser on the totem pole, unlike her? Um, yeah, some trauma should be there. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Um, but yeah, so it seems like, this is like, mm, I don't know, probably nothing in the court of law, but for us, it's still not looking great. Blake's not at least saying all the truth, or she's, she's cutting and pasting what she wants, what she needs from it. Or I don't know, it just all feels like a play or something. I don't know. Anyways, and this also segues pretty well in Melanie King's video. I'll link it below. The secret recording, and I wonder if it was at BookCon or where it was, but it was a panel video. I also wonder, is this why Blake? Well, okay, two things. If Blake knew that she wasn't being technically being recorded, was she more open? But I take that back because she said things throughout all the interviews. So I take that back. Never mind. But yeah, so there's three quotes that had the 3 points that were like boom, boom, boom. And she said them in this tiny little recording. She started, and maybe there were more, but this is the recording. It started, when you see it, this movie, it feels like a big, beautiful summer movie, but we didn't have any budget. So this movie that, okay, maybe, it was a different take on movies about DV. It was, a little more foggy, but still about that. It still had that in it, right? And she's talks about it. She describes it as a big, beautiful summer movie. And Dana didn't really spend too much on this one because I mean, there's like just bigger fish to fry with with this clip. But um, for me, that was like, oh gosh, what? More examples of how she did not see this movie. She did not take it seriously. And again, especially if she had the experience of SH, it's not exactly the same, right, as DV, technically, like her character. Let's take her really literal. Like her character, if she goes really literal, was, experienced something different than she did. But it's still in that same category of um things you should not do, right? And of violations to a person's body, or sorry, my parakeet flew out. And or and mind and emotion. And she, let's say, having experienced her own SH on this movie set, and understanding even a little bit, because it seems like, yeah, she still hasn't understood the book, or maybe she understood the book. Maybe she understood the book exactly how Colleen meant it, because Colleen had her own, criticism around how her book wasn't very accurate and so forth. So maybe she understood it. Maybe they both saw the same movie, even though ironically Colleen had a very different email to Justin. But I wonder, because he was a guy and she thought he would take it in a place that Blake took it, but because Blake is a woman, it was okay for her to take it there, as this romantic movie. But anyways, but let's say, she understood enough with the little information to call it a big, beautiful summer movie. Grab your friends and wear your florals kind of thing. What? It's just like, what? It's just, I don't know. And then she says, because the question was around Taylor Swift's song, and she says, she, Taylor, was with me throughout this experience the whole time, all throughout it. So she really lived this with me. Duh. That's it. Yeah. Anyways, um, I mean, if we don't need anything else, right? Well, we kind of do. We probably need like actual proof. But I mean, one or another doesn't look good. Either she again used Taylor's name and made up stuff about Taylor and her involvement in this. Doesn't seem as likely. Doesn't seem as like it, because she would say something else, I feel like. But this is very specific. This feels very like honest. Or this happened. Taylor Swift was with her from the beginning. And like I said, with your friend, even if it's not your best friend, but it's your friend, it's a friend that you talk to, that you're close enough to have influence on whether they give you the song for free or whatever they negotiated, right? And she takes you to the Super Bowl and all that stuff later that year. So with this friend, you're not going to like text at all about like, oh, this creep Justin, if that's what she thought, or oh, look, this is what he's doing, this is whatever. And I feel like from that text message exchange with the Khaleesi kind of text message and the voice note that we have now, that kind of exchange, it felt like, yeah, like it totally felt like Blake was leaning on Taylor and vice versa regarding like feminism, yeah, and women, they don't get acknowledged enough and all that stuff. The whole demand song basically and all that stuff. And she had like also another interview, which again, fair enough, that happens. I just feel like it was used here. It wasn't needed or true. Um, and then a few of them said no. This is also, sorry, another quote from that same clip. A few of them said no, people that she really wanted their songs in this movie. But I don't know what that means. So if anyone has a dictionary, I would love to find the definition of that, of no. And this was a joke, and I'll take it as a joke. I don't think that, I don't know. I would take it as a joke anyways. But then what she says after that, and she says it's so confusing for me. She's like, no, no. And what she says after that is worse because she says, I just expect to get a lot of the songs in the movie, songs that we couldn't afford. So, people not knowing how to say no as far as, projects getting approved and all that. As an actor, especially, you kind of, and if you want to produce and all that, you kind of have to have that tenacity. Like you just keep going and going. But for her to say, "I just expect to get a lot of the songs in the movie," that sounds entitlement. That sounds like someone who's not really accepted no in a very different way. But speculation, my opinion, this is all my interpretation of this. And then she goes into just her little cherry on top, the emotion. We all just want to connect with people. We're all storytellers. Like if these people would see the movie, they would give their songs to this movie. And it's just when I heard that, especially after this, it's like, oh, blah, 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 PR stuff, PR talk. It just, everything that she says, that she tries to say heartfelt, doesn't land. Just like her jokes don't land, really. And then it makes me internet issues. Sorry if we get disconnected. My friend sent me this other like TikTok of an interview of Blake around this movie that she just was going around in circles. And I was like, oh my gosh, I used to in college, used to do presentations without any homework. Just I would not, well, I kind of went through the whole college experience without doing without studying for tests or all that stuff. I would do homework, but I wouldn't do research and all that. And I would just know from being lectured to. I just, maybe I was an auditory learner, whatever. And then one day, maybe because we didn't get that information and we had to read it ourselves, and I was like, oh, I know enough about it. I can just, I don't have to prepare. Well, that presentation did not go so well, and I felt it. And in this video, and if I can find it, I'll also link it below. That's exactly what it looks like. But also, all her videos almost, when she's being asked any question about her, the Lily character, and anything about this movie and what it meant for her, or like how she connected with it, or how she prepared for it, all that stuff, she says nothing, and she sounds exactly like someone who's not prepared for the presentation that she's about to give. Someone who's not prepared for answering these questions that anyone can assume will be asked. No one's asking about what she had for dinner. People are asking, "Hey, this movie, how did you prepare for this movie? How did you, get into this character? What's your connection to this character?" That's like one-on-one questions, simple questions, and she can't answer them. And people are like, well, yeah, because she didn't read the book. Yeah, and I think more than that, like, she just has spent zero time on understanding. Maybe she read the book, but she didn't understand anything. And the TikToker in that specific video has it right, so I will try my best to link it. Um, Something around, like, not only did she not read the book, but not she ended up making Lily whoever she wanted Lily to be, not who Lily was. And Blake has said that a couple of times, like, she can't just be given any role, she has to be the producer, she has to create that role for herself, the way that she interprets that role. There was another, interview also saying something very similar. So, yeah, that the Melanie King video situation, that was just like, "What?" And you are staying still, like, standing your ground as far as like, oh, like, it's a smear campaign from Justin Baldoni's side, and this is why people don't like me. And it's like everyone's like almost screaming at her. No, it's your freaking words, woman. It's your words. And let's stop her calling her a girl, because she's definitely like a woman. She's 37, and yeah, she's a mom, all that stuff. But yeah. That's also just my own personal side note that I don't know, that just came out. I don't feel that strongly about it. You can call her whatever you want. Nice things. But like, what? Anyways, before I get into wow, these topics are like sliding right into each other like butter. But I want to take a moment to see the chat here for a second. I hope Lively's team doesn't create false statements or fake documents like Amber Heard and Evan Rachel Woods. Yeah, and what's that girl's name from Bachelor? Oh gosh, with Clayton. I mean, she created a fake sonogram or whatever. Her fake baby is. Yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't see Blake the same as these women, but she has a lot more power and control, I feel, than any of these women. So, yeah, and how can I don't know, that's, like, so hard. Oh gosh. So far, they haven't provided any proof. They weren't charged, I mean, in their deposition. Yeah. Um I wish I was a fly on the wall at the deposition. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think we all would. All of a sudden, they'll see like a bunch of flies in the room. Like, what is that? Like, not flies. We can be the fruit flies, because then no one really sees just how many of us are there. If we could make that happen, that would be awesome. Yeah. I just want to say, oh, thank you. You don't feel overwhelmed? Thank you. Oh, I always yeah, I worry that I'm too slow. I'm actually, like, speeding myself up because I'm like, "Oh, no one wants to, like, just be here for that long to just listen to all this stuff that long." Like, I just need to hurry up, but I appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much, Maria Rodriguez. You thought she was 40 years old on her yeah. Yeah. Oh, I did see, some photos. I think in the no, it wasn't the TMZ article, something else that she does. She looks 40. She looks older than me, but she's younger than me. But it could be California sun, maybe before sunscreen was a thing, or I mean, I still don't use sunscreen. I should, but I'm bad. Or I don't know, tanning salon, or just she's blonde, right? So fair skin can age quicker. But yeah, and yeah, I don't know. Um but yeah, she's definitely mature. She's definitely a woman. She's yeah. So sliding into Laura Owens, yes, that's her with Clayton Eckhart, right? I didn't watch that season. I didn't watch this season, but I watched Dave Neal covering that. Um, yeah. But anyways, so dismissing and minimizing women. So I was actually just like thinking this to myself earlier. I went to a doctor's appointment, and it just kind of hit me a little bit stronger maybe than before, but I mentioned this again yesterday, I think both of my lives yesterday. This idea that Ryan Reynolds is actually the mastermind and he was the one that needed the dailies. Also, we don't have proof of anything beyond the dailies being asked for after the movie ended filming, right? And we have that exchange, that exchange, I think, and email exchange around that. So I don't really understand where this whole thing came from. Ryan wanting to see the dailies, earlier, like every time they were filming. We don't have any mention of that, anything like that. And we have actually proof that Blake asked for all the dailies like way after. So that's one thing. But then the other theories of just in general how controlling he is and so forth, which I'll get to the TikToker thing. Did I skip that? No. Okay. Anyways, and the the thing with this is that I did I don't know, I lost it. Shoot. Um I think yes, we're seeing some jealousy or some anger, something, right, with them. They're humans, whatever. And I'm not sure that he's, not what people are saying that he is around this, all that stuff. But just taking the theory itself and that how like people latched onto that, I feel is so minimizing to Blake Lively and to like a woman in general. And I hate to make it, into this gender thing. And I'm not like the person that gets on a soapbox and is like this activist. And I've had friends like that. I know how like it hits like, oh, don't lecture me right now. And I'm not trying to lecture. I'm just like exploring this idea because it's like, whoa, hold on. So these Ryan theories, like, so basically she's not, in control of herself. She's not, she doesn't have free will. And I mean, even if he is controlling, but in her own mind and so forth, to be able, and she's not, capable to be able to do this herself, right? This, what Taylor Swift keeps saying that she can be, just as Machiavellian or whatever as the next guy. So there's that. I mean, Taylor is saying that about herself in the one song. Um, and then, well, a couple of songs like The Man and also Mastermind, and there was, I think, another one. And then the crush theories. I said this, I said this exactly to my friend, and I will say it because I might probably won't be able to say it the same as good as I did. Um, I'm like, maybe it's a personal bias. But when I hear about everyone going around like, oh, I really think that Blake got a crush and it wasn't reciprocated, or some people think it was, either way, but she got a crush and Ryan found out, also pulling Ryan back into this and making about jealousy. But she got a crush and that's why she's doing this to like save her own like marriage, to like say to Ryan, no, 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 it's actually him, or all these different theories. But basically all revolving around a woman having, this attraction to a man, and that's why she's like Helen of Troy suddenly. Like she's just uprooting everyone's lives because of a crush. As a mom, and I understand because even my friend was saying like, yeah, after pregnancy hormones can do so many things. It can lead you in so many different directions that you wouldn't think. Okay, I've not been a mom yet, and I can understand. I still feel like I don't feel like that's what's happened at all. I don't think it's about hormones or attraction or whatever. And she just got scorned. She just got rejected, not scorned, rejected. And suddenly she's like trying to control a whole movie and ruin a person's life with kids of his own and all this stuff. I don't think, I don't think that. And I also don't think, I hope it's not true that Ryan is kind of reflective of the character in this movie. And, she has to do certain things like do this lawsuit or whatever, either because he's taken over or because she's afraid of him. I also hope that's not true. And I don't think it is. But just around this whole thing, it's like minimizing women, minimizing the complexity of being a human being, and minimize, like, I feel like, especially at a certain age, even though, yeah, she is a self-proclaimed romantic and loves romance and all this stuff, and she even tried to make this movie into a romance because she loves romance so much, and we need romantic movies, so go make romantic movies, Blake. But, like, I don't think, I think she's so much more than that, and not in a good way or a bad way, but I really don't think these theories are the reason behind this, and I might be proven completely wrong. I just wanted to explore just this idea of, making, when it comes to a woman having being controlling, or suing someone, or even lying. If she's lying, we don't know yet. Any of this stuff, just because she was rejected and she had this crush and she had this attraction to someone and she was rejected, or because she had it and her husband found out, and she had to save her face with her husband, stuff like that. Like, I think it's putting women down a little bit. And I said, sorry, I kind of cut myself off, but I said, it just sounds to me like women who read those cheesy romance novels, no offense, because I am, well, no offense, I'm sorry that I offended you, because it is offensive. I'm sorry. But who read these cheesy romance novels sitting around not thinking outside of that box. So they're thinking just inside the box of that kind of world, because that's what they ingest all the time. Or like Lifetime movies, that, I don't know, is that popular still, Lifetime movies? Or, that kind of stuff. It's like you think what you ingest and what you're exposed to all the time, and that's what it comes across to me, like, because I didn't think of that, because I don't ingest that at all. I ingest Friends right now, and Ted Lasso, and what else? Well, and reality TV, which is women going at each other. It's like there's nothing about romance or friendship in those. So yeah. um but yeah, that's my opinion, and I've talked about this last night too, but I that this came to me a little bit differently today, and I wanted to mention that. That's why in your other live, said it's cheesy. Yeah, I don't believe she had a crush. She was trying to take his movie. Yeah, I think she's like, did Laura own? Oh yeah, fake twins. I thought it was just one child. Um, and yeah, I think she really wants to be powerful, and I think it comes from insecurity. I think it comes from not being taken seriously, etc. And she just doesn't see the nicer, better way to do that. To be a director, be a producer, make her own movies and whatnot. So yeah, so that part of me is just sad for her. I just really, I still, even though more and more things come out, the more I just, and I'll say this just once. I feel like, because I feel conflicted even saying it, but like, I sometimes I see the stuff that comes out from her own interviews, from her own speech, and her own views and everything, and I just feel like I've never wanted someone to be canceled, but I kind of feel like I want her to be canceled. If they have this much, both of them really, if they have this much power to like ruin people's lives, how many that we don't even know about, and all this stuff, and I don't know. It's just like, I think also just it gets to me so much, her using women against themselves, and having that much say, and doing that is just so wrong. So yeah, anyways, um it's interesting because I don't see, shoot, where is that? There was I can't believe that I lost this, but the TikTok that I mentioned, that my friend sent me, it was saying basically, it went back to, oh, I know where it is. It went back to the Super Bowl last year, and Blake Lively's comment saying, the Blake Lively post that she made about the Super Bowl, and she captioned it, "Last week I left my kids for the first time ever and wore pants that were shoes. I took pictures upside down and had no clue. I treated a friendship bracelet like a flat Stanley." Don't know what that means. I don't know a lot of this, actually. This doesn't make sense. This is almost like a Britney text or like a Britney caption. No offense to Britney, but I struggle so much understanding what she writes, and I feel so bad because I really want to. So yeah, like a flat Stanley for my husband. Like I didn't realize it was in 2007 or '07. I borrowed more jewelry than the skeleton in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and I went clubbing. Now I know what my episode of the Twilight Zone would look like. So this TikToker says that this sounds like someone who would be kind of like Lily on It Ends With Us, and like in a DV or some sort of relationship, like controlling relationship, and Ryan Reynolds isn't letting her out of the house. Based on what we've seen, I don't see any evidence for anything like that. What I do see, to be fair, right now, don't hate me too much, but like to be fair, I see that, oh, maybe she did experience a stage and maybe she was affected, or maybe she was affected, just who knows, by this whole experience. I don't even know. And maybe, wait, no, I take that back because that was 2024. So this was actually, okay. So this would have been if she was, yeah, if she was affected by SH and she maybe was depressed at home and she's like, oh, for the first time ever, I left, my kids at home. In, well, did she say ever? Okay, well, yeah, I read that as like for the first time in a long time. So I even read into that. That's how that was like a moment like, huh, I wonder if she was affected. I wonder if she was depressed after this movie. Maybe not even for a stage, but because of, I mean, it sounds like this movie was just terrible for everyone. Um, well, not for everyone, for the younger the younger actors, not so much. They wrapped up and they were happy, and then came the nightmare after. But yeah, I don't see that much in her caption, to be honest, and I definitely don't see someone who's not allowed to leave the house because her husband doesn't want her to. And she's left the house. She's been out with Taylor Swift and stuff. I guess around the same time, but I don't know. I feel like this TikToker kind of took it, and maybe, there's a theory there, but like I think she took it kind of like that psychologist TikToker did, reading way too much and reading things that aren't even there, and also not being informed with all the other stuff that's out there, all the other interviews and stuff. And yeah, and one of the thing that could go either way, because maybe she says this to be nice or to not be found out, or maybe she says this because she means it. But Blake said herself that she doesn't like leaving her couch, and she's just a homebody. And yeah, but that's also kind of is corroborated the right word with her behavior, even Gossip Girl days and all that stuff. And honestly, if you think like Gossip Girl, all the stars that came out, like the younger stars, Penn even, and others, Taylor said, but she was younger than them. But it was like it blew up so fast. Maybe she had more support and more understanding of how to deal with that than the other cast members because she was, born in the industry. But Blake Lively, but still, like that could have had an impact on, like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to be home. There's just, she wants the fame and stuff probably, but she also probably feels overwhelmed. Just throwing out theories, things that I'm thinking of. Are they even theories or just my imagination, my brainstorming? Um, and she's a baker. And when I remember when she and Ryan Reynolds got together and all the stories at her house or her family house or something in the pool, and all those paparazzi pictures and all this stuff, I think that's when she was pregnant with their first child, and, like, she's described herself a lot with, like, baker, stay-at-home, homebody, um, I don't know. I don't know. So that's what I see, but that was something that is out there. Um, yeah, I captioned it for myself. Ryan Reynolds' controlling theory gets more sideways, goes more sideways. I don't know. And I wanted to, I'm not going to talk about it, but just mention, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but along with the Super Bowl, because I wanted to say this yesterday too, 2024 Super Bowl, you know, everyone's like not really mentioning the whole Balenciaga thing. I remember, I don't know, maybe this was part of the so-called alleged smear campaign, but there was something recently, like in the past few months, I think, um, about like Blake Lively speaking at, um, I don't know, just an awareness for child stuff that shouldn't be, and against it and being emotional. But then people are like, but you wore Balenciaga, who did do things to, you know, the guy who owns it or whatever. It says here somewhere. Um, something with like, yeah. Okay. I thought it was like DV with a child, like the guy who owns Balenciaga or behind Balenciaga, but ChatGPT says that it was like a campaign that had disturbing imagery of children, and yeah, um, and Kim Kardashian was involved in that too. Like, why are you not speaking out against this? And she spoke out eventually. Um, that like I was just waiting to find out more or whatever. However, who has not spoken out at all, according to ChatGPT as well, is Blake Lively, who makes this whole big thing about children's safety and stuff. And then there was her not saying anything around Harvey Weinstein or saying that it wasn't her experience. Um, and just saying that, yeah, I think that if people heard these stories, then I think that it's really important for them to be heard. But that wasn't her experience, okay. Maybe she just can't really formulate great sentences. I know I can't. So, and then working with Woody Allen, which was the movie that Jersey Flaws, interview was around, and, yeah. Oh, in 2016, while promoting that movie, Cafe Society, Lively defended Allen, stating, "It's very dangerous to factor in things you don't know anything about. I admire Woody's work and trust him, and I had a wonderful experience working with him." So it's just like, at best, just burying your head in the sand. And she also, yeah, she worked or paid tribute, to Karl Lagerfeld, who is also known for making fatphobic, racist, and misogynistic comments. But in 2023 Met Gala, um, that theme was around Karl Lagerfeld, and she was there, and did not speak out against him. So I just wanted to mention those things. Don't know why. Honestly, makes me wonder, are they really necessary? Like, I feel like we've, really proven her character in a lot of this. Like, it's just so much is coming out, and I really, maybe after this, maybe I'll, like, sit down and try to find crap on Justin, just to be fair. It'll kind of suck. Actually, I just got his Man Enough book from the library. Sorry, I didn't buy it. Maybe I'll buy it, but also I'm not a man. I don't know. I feel like this is a book meant for men. Um, and it's basically 2 times his lawsuit. So I made it through the lawsuit. I probably will make it through this book. I'm not a reader whatsoever. I do have ADHD, undiagnosed for all my life, and I didn't know that is why struggle like reading. You know, I read and I'm like, wait, what was I reading? And I go, wait, and I go, and so I'm like, I give up. So yeah, but I didn't. I was curious to get his book and try it out. So yeah, you would think she has children of her own. Yeah, women's have different experiences. How can she talk like that? It's all the same. Sorry, I'm like reading down up. That's the issue I have. These celebrities always have to use victims to make a statement. Yeah. hmm I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Um, there's a way to do it right, I feel like, where it's just kind of acknowledging there are victims, they exist, and to raise awareness. But when you're like using them to have a cause, because it's so, you know, good to have a cause as a celebrity, something to fight for, the right thing to fight for, and I think people can feel that too. I don't think so. And yeah, because yeah, like Justin made a whole series highlighting these people, wanting to highlight these people's lives and the struggle to it just was something that he felt very pulled towards. I think from his own experience, I think he mentions with his grandparent or uncle, or I forget. Going through that, and just like it kind of hit him like, "Oh, I really am interested in being there for these people," or like curious about, I forget. Sorry, I'm going to go in a rabbit hole. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'll have to look up that video that he said this in or whatever. But so there are ways that you can like empower victims and highlight the struggles of victims as a whole, but it has to come from a genuine place, you know, and non-performative, not to get awards, not to, um, have on your resume, this is what she believes. This is her, concentration, not concentration. I went like super European. Um, like when you go to a doctor, if you look up doctors, they have specialists. They specialize in. I feel like sometimes celebrities can be like, I specialize in, protecting children and all this stuff. It's like, but do you? Actions need to be behind that. And that's like the thing. Like if you're saying, well, I support Woody Allen because, whatever. And my understanding of that is like it's a little bit more nuanced, and yeah, I don't know. But like you can't, and then with the Balenciagas, like you can't do that. Put your money, your image, your presence, your celebrity, your name, your everything behind what you're saying, behind your words. Don't actually put it in exactly the opposite camp. um yeah. To say this will set back women from coming out, how when they do when they do. Sorry, I'm sorry, I suck at reading. She's not helping her case. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but she's in it now. So it seems like they're drowning right now. Sorry, drowning. Yeah. But maybe I feel like we have to say that maybe they still have something, because we don't know that they don't. It's unlikely, because something would have come out in some sort of way, even if it's statement of like, it's coming or something. Something, something. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So just really quick, Ryan Reynolds, Donna showed this video. It looks completely staged, and what bothered me even more, not even more, but also bothered me, was his attitude about it. It felt like he was acting hurt. I'm not saying he's not hurt. I think he's going through a very hard time right now. But maybe because of this biased lens that, covering all of this, maybe because it really did look staged. Um Not because, oh, why would random people meet him, to like sign autographs, but like not even Donna, but Beth on Donna's show said they just all casually have posters in their hands waiting for Ryan to show. And then Donna pointed out how they're all the same posters pretty much. And it's like, yeah, they all look, and they also did not look like they wanted to be there. I don't know. Some of the guys look like TMZ. Like, they looked more like paparazzis, to be honest. Some of them. I don't know. I didn't look at every single one, but I did. Again, maybe this is a biased lens that we're seeing this through. Um, but celebrities stage this all the time, which we know, especially with Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, and all that mess. Um, I am sad. Well, I didn't really have time to be sad about them, but it sucks because I don't know. It was a nice hope to have, nice belief that people can reconcile after so many years and like find each other again and stuff. But they probably didn't, either of them, do enough work to make it work on themselves, to make it work together. And maybe a lot, we'll see what comes out with like the Diddy stuff with her. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even want to touch that like case or anything. I used to, when it came out, I used to look up these videos, and it disturbed me so much. Just kind of like yesterday's video that I mentioned with the aircraft crash. Like, it just, but worse, to read and imagine, have to go into my imagination as people are describing these things that this human potentially, allegedly, could have done, and know that, somewhere, if not him, somewhere someone does do that in the world, in this world. It was just too much for me, so I'm staying away from that, both as a viewer, and I'm not going to probably talk about that besides this one little tiny bit. um but um yeah, she would have defended herself by now instead of trying to get a gag order. Yeah. Yeah, and that's my next point too. The posters are almost the same, and the markers. Yeah, he called anonymously to say he was going to be there. Classic celebrity. Yeah, which, whatever. But like, you don't need to right now. Everyone's talking about you, and because you have fans. w- what is that supposed to do for us? What are, because you have these fans that want your autograph. Is that, are they that behind PR? It just like landed on me. Like, are they not catching up? Like, are they just under a rock as far as, social media and current PR world? Is he Did he think, cuz I feel like that's like a classic PR move from like the 90s or something, or early 2000s. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that much about that, but like, cuz what was the point? Just to show us how like people want his autograph and like him, and he's liked, and how, or was it to show us how like distraught he is, and he's like barely smiling? And also like, so making it worse, like you're just there, like just like serious and just like, yeah, I'm just signing and like, take a photo and whatever. Like, you're going through such a hard time. Like, so was it to that you're popular or loved, or was it to show that you're going through a hard time and you're like in distress or whatever, and for us to feel sorry for you? Either one. Connection is unstable, no, but either one is like, no. um Anyways, but yeah, choosing the lawyer. So the whole thing of Brian Friedman, Blake Lively does, I said this yesterday. This was like my little tiny bit of breaking news, that everyone's talking about it this morning. I didn't break the news. That what variety.com broke the news, and now everyone's talking about it. But I was one of the first. And I'm just mentioning because I rarely do that because it's hard. I'm just not good at that. But anyways, gag order or whatever and this and that. It's if this doesn't show you that someone's guilty and not a victim, I don't know what does. Because okay, you can say, "Hey, like, I don't want this public." That can be understood, like, a victim, okay. But then it's like, "Oh, but that didn't work. Let me, up the ante, up the ante," and then suddenly you don't want this particular lawyer to depose you, to interview you, to whatever, to ask you these questions. Um, well, if you're honest, okay, a victim can be intimidated, sure. But imagine if, like, a criminal could choose that. Imagine if people could choose who deposes them or who the opposing lawyer is. I mean, you get a real criminal in there and they get to have that choice. That doesn't sound like a good idea, right? So why is the law supposed to work differently for her? Just because this guy is intimidating because let's say she's telling the truth, but she's just easily intimidated, you know? But too bad, like, the other way around won't work. You didn't even give them, 2 extra weeks because the house and this guy's house and office burned down, but you want, the special treatment? And consideration? Yeah. Hi, Ireland. Do you know the 90 Day Sean guy from Ireland on the 90 Day show before the 90 Day or whatever? Sorry, that's so like, everyone in Ireland must know each other. But I would get that from about Romania too. So, um, but yeah, but hi from Ireland. It's interesting when I see you and then there was someone and I'm like, "Oh, is this story outside of the US that big?" Because even in the US, some people don't know it. So, yeah, that's cool. And also, I sometimes think, like, we suck over here. So, why would you be interested in, like, just stupid Hollywood celebrities? And then I'm the one that says, my mom has that opinion, like, "Oh, these stupid Hollywood celebrities, whatever." And I'm like, "No, it's not like that." But anyways, so, yeah. Anyway, so I'll link, Andy had, like, the actual whole letter. I guess I found it here in my notes. I'll link that one below. But yeah, I covered this yesterday, last night. It's a very short live, the 17-minute. It's not the whole 17 minutes. I kind of got sidetracked by an awesome new listener too, or viewer or joiner. But the first part, yeah, she wants to choose her own lawyer. Great. Um, I was thinking, with this today, like, is she going to sue him too? She kind of already is, right? I mean, I don't know if it's technically a lawsuit. It's not, but with the protection order is like really towards him. But because she'll feel uncomfortable, and I even hate thinking this, and I don't say that she would accuse him of SH, but I like something else is what I feel like, because it's like they're trying so hard to silence everyone but their voice. They did that before with the complaint, the CRD complaint. They're doing it now. It's like their voice is the only voice that we should hear. How is that fair? If you're telling the truth, how is that fair? Because if you're telling the truth, you should have your proof, you should have your ducks in a row, and that's it. And you worry about you and the truth on your side. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but we're not talking about someone that's not famous as she is, that all this stuff wasn't, in part at least, on camera, that there's no documentation with the intimacy coordinator, the hiring, the firing, the all this stuff. So we're not talking about just any kind of case. So you don't need the, protection order. You don't need all these things. You don't need to like silence everyone that's not on your side. Whew, gosh, man. Okay, anyways, so Shane Reed is the guy that Blake credited in a Capital FM, I think, interview. And I'll link Jersey Flaw's video because she has this and she talks about this. Um, but she calls him out by her by well, I don't think she says his name, but the guy that worked on Deadpool, the editor that worked on Deadpool, and on, interestingly enough, she says on Taylor Swift's music video that she directed. And in that Reddit post, um, which is interesting that Jersey didn't have the actual Reddit post. She just had a screenshot of a screenshot or something. But um, it was said somewhere here. Oh, apparently, Justin wasn't happy with the original editor's cut of the movie, so he hired his own team to do his version for the movie. Side note: I'm confused. I know that I have some experience in film, but more on the amateur side of things, and but him being having the production company of this movie and being the director of this movie, and also he was also an that executive director that they give apparently to the main actors. Wasn't he responsible for hiring the original editors, or am I wrong? Anyone, if you know anything about the movie Set Life, let me know, because that threw me off. I couldn't even when who I think woo, I almost said her name, and we don't say her name anymore, I guess. Just kidding, but not really, but kind of. Um, oh gosh. Oh, and then that's not a reference to Big Ed. That wasn't a reference anywhere. By the way, Mint Mobile is online again. It's on my TV again. It's oh gosh. It's a British show. Yes, but no, but yes, but no. Vicky is Matt. Crap, I don't know their names. Anyways, sorry, side note. But yeah, so I was just so confused. Whoever read this, I think Donna broke this news the night before she covered it. I was like, wait, what? I don't. That doesn't make sense. It's his movie, right? Not only as a director, but he is a co-owner of the production company. So didn't he have say in who the team was? And correct me if I'm wrong, if I learned wrong, but the director kind of hires his team. The producers, really, I guess, but also like the director kind of has, you know, I don't know. Anyways, but then they also said Blake wanted to do her own version of the movie as a result, but Sony said no. So she to threaten the New York Times to go to the New York Times, threaten Sony with that if she didn't get her own version. And says okay. I don't really, unpopular opinion. I don't fully believe this Reddit. It was 6 months ago, sure, before all the lawsuits. So someone knew something. I don't fully believe this. I don't fully believe, at least, that this was organic and not, dare I even say it, planted by whoever on whoever's team. Um, I don't know. It's just like weird. Why was this popping up 6 months ago? How long ago was 6 months ago? Um, July 31st, 2024. Thank you, Google. So this was right before the premiere. Um, but yeah, and then it goes on to say that she hires Taylor Swift's music video editors to do her version while she's filming in Italy for something. And then Blake has friends and family. I love how very well at all. But anyways, and so the A-listers that she screened it for didn't like it, and then and said that it made no sense. So she fired that editor or whatever, and then went to, again, this, if it's this guy Shane Reed or whatever, like he is super huge. I don't think she could, like, I think he's stronger than her. So for me in my mind to like, oh yeah, do this movie for me, and then, oh no, don't do this movie for me, I changed my mind because people didn't like it, didn't like your version. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm sorry. Connection is bad. I'm going to end this in like a couple of minutes because my connection comes in and out. Hopefully, recording wise, it'll be good. I don't know, but that's way too much to like rewatch. I understand. Um, so yeah. Anyways, but yeah, this Shane Reed guy she mentions. Then she also mentions, or she yeah, same. And Kirsty had this interesting point to make that she never mentions Justin. And I have said in a previous video that when she talks about this movie, she talks as if it's her movie. And yeah, Justin mentions and even talks and praises Blake. You could say, well, that's like a tactic. Sure, okay. It could have been her tactic too, you know, like whatever. Um, anyways, and the other thing is like Shane doesn't have it ends with us on his IMDb. So, he doesn't need that one way or another, whether it's true or not. And then that's kind of it. Oh, casting directors was another one. Um, at 8:20 if you don't see it yet. What? If I don't see what at 8:20? The casting directors, please feel free to educate me on this, but my understanding of casting directors is they one or more ingestion. What? I don't even know what error I just received. Maybe I'll just leave this for another time. Um, and yeah, you're taking notes of the good points, the good parts, the in and out, or where the connection went bad. Thank you. But yeah, if you can hear me still, if this makes it to air, casting directors, their role, because my understanding is that the director kind of has the final decision, especially if not, completely for the primary roles. So in this case, Blake himself and all that stuff, and the producers. I think the producers have the ultimate say, unless they defer, like, yeah, director, do whatever you want. And not the casting directors. The casting directors find the people and suggest people. And they can also, my understanding, hire for extras and secondary characters and so forth. So that was my understanding, but this was a comment that I received that I guess was uninformed. I was saying uninformed opinions or something. So yeah, I don't know, but um, that's kind of all that I had for today. This was a lot. This was a lot. I always like when I started today's like bullet points, and I use workflowy. If you've not used it, try it out. It's awesome. And when I started, how I use it, at least at the beginning, I used like just the text notes app. I had such few things. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a short one. It's going to be a light day. And then somehow here we are, and here I am. And I still, to be honest, have just tiny little bit of other topics, but I will leave them for another time. Um, but yeah, Mint Mobile was on there, and I did cover that one. That was like just a mention of that. It's just like it bothered me before any of this too. I'm like, I just don't shut up. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see you. I'm not interested. Um, well, thank you for joining me. We had a lot more people on today. And that's like kind of cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Like I'm such a tiny fish, such a tiny fish. And I didn't even plan on this. I didn't come into this like, oh, I'm going to like do these lives or I'm going to cover this case. I just felt so strongly back in when her CRD complaint on the 23rd of December. I think I made a video. And the night before I made a video, I was vlogging. I was doing Vlogmas back then. I was just trying things out. I was going through a hard time, and this pulled me out of it, apparently. But yeah, I remember when it came out, I'm like, the lawsuit that no one asked for. Like, we don't want to see this. Well, we're all involved. We're all like just constantly consuming this. So, but I think at the same time, we're like, we really didn't need this. I think we're in both camps, in both places at the same time. But yeah, I just felt so strongly about it. And I have no idea where this will go. and how many of us will be wrong and how many of us will be right, and which side, and how it'll, I don't have no idea. But yeah, thank you. But yeah, we're figuring it all out, and it's creating some interesting conversations that I love that they're being created from all of us, and we're all involved. So thank you so much for joining, for being here, for participating. um yeah, yeah, I never, I just don't like saying things like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, comment below. Like, I even that was like very hard to say, because one, if you like it, you'll do whatever you want to do, you'll like it if you like it, right? We all know YouTube. um and but I will admit that sometimes when creators have said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not subscribed yet. Oh crap, I thought I was. Actually, I was unsubscribed from Popcorn Planet for some reason. Suddenly I was like, I went to type into their live chat once, and I wasn't subscribed. And I'm like, I am 99% sure that I was subscribed. So, and I've heard creators say that before too of their audience. Like, if you got unsubscribed, or, just remember. So, thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Um, I don't like that word. If that was not autocorrect, but yeah. Um, yeah, see you tomorrow, and or Monday, for sure Monday. I will for sure see you Monday. We'll all see each other Monday, whether on here, on someone else's live. We will be on this. I am, oh my gosh, this is exciting. This is also nerve-wracking. It's coming. It's happening. Something, the first thing is happening, and it can change everything, honestly, right? If the judge decides, oh yeah, we agree on this protective order or whatever, no more website, no more things leaked, uh unless like other people leak it. And then if the dismissal goes through too, or whatever, I don't even know the next steps. But yeah, have a wonderful night, have a wonderful weekend if I don't see you until Monday. And yeah, peace, love, and compassion was my vlogging ending, but I think it deserves to be a reminder for us all that, yeah, peace, love, and compassion. Wow, my mouth isn't even working anymore. And empathy. Have a wonderful day and night wherever you are. Bye.